Hey there, it's Dave Conklin with Conklin Media. Thank you for taking a moment to learn about Conklin Media and all that we're doing for our customers and how we might be able to help you out. Our goal is to become your digital growth partner, and we've actually been doing that with companies for about 17 years. We've worked with companies really large, really small, and we've done some really cool stuff that we're proud of, and we would love to help you with our experiences. So just to kind of start things out, let's go over our story real quick. So in the late 90s, before Google AdWords even existed, by the way, I was actually in the real estate business, and we won all kinds of awards for sales growth, and we spoke to national audiences about how to motivate agents under the age of 30, because I was at the time. Unfortunately, I'm not anymore, but I learned how to use technology to grow business efficiently while I was there, because I started off by cold calling, and I quickly realized that you cannot scale cold calling. So in 2003, a couple business partners and I actually launched a company that generated leads for real estate agents all over the country. And we won all kinds of awards. We learned how to use pay-per-click and social media and search engine optimization, all these different digital marketing terms to grow our business. And we were actually awarded with an Inc. 500 award 2 years in a row. And that's quite an honor, especially considering the fact that we had zero investment capital in that business. We also won Emerging Business of the Year and were nominated in the 40 Under 40 list and many other things. So when we hit the Inc. 500 list, it was one of the things that was just magical for us, because it was a true showcase of proof that the strategies that we were learning were actually able to grow a business. We were generating leads for real estate agents, which were consumers, and then we also had to run marketing campaigns to get real estate agents. So we were doing podcasting before podcasting existed on the iTunes store. There was no iTunes store when we were doing podcasting. We were just creating video blogs and things and getting them out there. So we really started doing things early and using this technology and all these crazy things to grow our actual business. So in 2009, in case you missed the news, the housing market took a little bit of a dump. And of course that affected us because our main clients were real estate agents. So we pivoted our business into an agency. And we were fortunate and blessed that we got to work with companies like Hershey and Armstrong World Industries, and I could go through a list of more than 100 other companies that we worked with at that agency. But what was neat about that is we got to learn how our skill set that we learned at Get My Home's Value and these other companies was actually going to play in the world of B2B and the world of manufacturing and the world of online apparel sales and e-commerce and things. So it was really fascinating to watch that grow. Well, as time went by, my business partner and I at that agency decided to move on to some other things. So I actually started to pursue some independent consulting projects, and I did that for a few years. While I was doing that, I helped more than 800 different websites from all over the world to increase their online revenue. I built a team up of more than 100 people. I should say I was involved in building a team of more than 100 people that marketed websites, and we just had an absolute blast. But the learning experience was immense. So today, it's Conklin Media, and we are one of the fastest growing companies that I've ever been involved with to date. And we're really excited for the future, and we hope that you're a part of it. So how can we work together? I'm going to quickly go over this and we're going to talk about it again in the end, but we do a lot of hands-off consulting. This is where we go in and we'll work directly with a CEO or a CMO or some kind of C-level executive or director level, and we'll actually work to create plans for them, and then we'll help to motivate, train, and encourage their team to execute well on a plan that's intended to grow a certain element of a business. And we can talk more about that in a little bit. Another popular thing that some clients love us to do for them is called an audit and strategy plan. This is where we look at everything you've been doing and we audit it. We say, hey, this is kind of great. Here, this could probably be improved. We just put our 2 cents into the mix and give our third-party opinion on what you're doing right now. But the magic of this is that we actually create a plan that you can execute. You can use a vendor of your choice with, you can use us, whatever, but you'll have a plan that you can actually put into action for your business to grow. Then we do a lot of hands-on social. Now, this isn't like posting to your Facebook page. I want to be very clear on that. Hands-on social for us means that we're actually building a community of potential customers, and we're creating content that's really, enticing for them to download. So let's say, for example, that you sell to vice presidents of sales at companies in the uniforms industry. So, you're looking for folks who sell uniforms and service uniforms, and you want the VP of sales, and you have some product to target them. We will actually create a list of those potential people on Facebook and LinkedIn or wherever it's relevant for your particular audience. And we'll start to create content and actually build a community of those people and start to interact with them and then engage them in one-on-one messaging, which it can be really, really, really profitable in the end. You become an authority and you also actually start adding to the bottom line. So then we do website development. Website development is self-explanatory, but it's important to note that we don't look at websites the same as everyone else. It's not about having an online brochure. The website should be an employee. You should look at your website as your best employee. It's the one that shows up every day. It constantly is generating leads and phone calls for you, and you should treat it like your best employee as well. And we help you to kind of put together a plan to make that happen. We manage your pay-per-click campaigns, and we improve your quality score, all that kind of stuff. It's pretty self-explanatory, again, if you're running pay-per-click. However, again, I want to make sure we use things like SCAG, which is single keyword ad groups. And we really focus on a lot of the best practices in the pay-per-click industry to make sure that we make things happen. And we also do hands-on SEO. This is where we go out and we actually pitch high-quality websites that are in your niche, that are relevant to you, that get read. These are real websites, and we pitch them ideas on content that we can create for them or content that they should link to that's on your website. And we actually build those links, which is what increases your rankings in the search engines. So we do all 6 of these things, but we do them in different areas of your business, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But before we do, I want to make sure you understand the conversion process and how we see the pathway of what a lead looks like. So first, someone just doesn't even know who you are. They're clueless. And they become aware of you when they see your brand for the first time through some kind of traditional media, or they do a search, or they're on social media and you interrupt them with an ad or something like that. We're going to talk about the ways that you actually create awareness in the next slide. But for now, I just want you to understand that this is where they discover you for the first time. It's kind of the first impression that you have with this potential customer. Now, after that, they become a lead, because once they become aware and they actually land on your website, our focus is to get them to download something that's of value to them. It could be a white paper, a guide, a how-to, a best of, something like that, where they actually download something. Now, if they don't download anything, we also install a pixel on their browser. And we're getting better, by the way, at technology that can identify them on their mobile phone, even though they may have come to your website on their desktop computer. That's not, Google's still working out some kinks with that, but we are really, really on the cusp of something great when that happens. So anyway, they become a lead at that point. Now, after they're a lead, they're a prospect. Now, a prospect is defined, as someone who calls in, or they download really in-depth content. Maybe they watch a 20-minute webinar, for example, or they request more info or a demonstration, or they walk in your front door. Then they become a prospect. And the almighty goal of this whole process is to become a conversion. This is where a sale is actually made. It could be on your website, it could be via phone or in person. And whatever it is, That's the exciting part. That's what we really get excited about. But something tends to be missing with most marketing agencies out there, and we can't really figure out why they're not doing more of it. We want advocacy and referrals. We want that customer that just converted, that you just knocked their socks off. We want those people to be on an automated campaign that encourages them to refer other business to you. Here's why it's so special, and you probably already understand the value of word of mouth advertising. However, check this out. An advocate, someone who refers business to you, when that person that they advised to contact you comes in, they almost always skip the first 3 steps and they'll go right to a conversion. Because they're getting a recommendation, they have a need, they call you, and they just want to make it happen because they already trust you. So let's look at the recipe for growth. Now, this is how we actually get people to become aware of you, like we talked about earlier. So first, we have to create really great share-worthy content. Now, this could be some kind of a guide or some kind of content that's worth linking to or shareable. We have ways to go out and actually research the successes that have already happened online, and then we create a technical plan. So we find some content that's already done really well, and we create a technical plan to make sure that when we create the content, that it technically, from an on-page SEO perspective, so to speak, has all the ingredients that it needs to have to rank really high in the search engines. But then we also want to make sure that we have an editorial plan. Now, this is looking at the content and saying, okay, technically it's great, but we have to make sure that this content is actually share-worthy and that people are going to want to share it with their peers on LinkedIn or their friends on Facebook, whichever is more relevant. Now, we also create a creation schedule. The reality is that we have to be creating constant content throughout the year. So if our goal is 2 pieces of content per month, we have to actually pick headlines, pick topics, pick content types, and get that on an editorial calendar for the remainder of the year. And so we do that out as long as we need to, what's in our plan, but we make sure that we have an actual creation schedule. So another thing we then do is paid social community development. That's where we look at your audience and we say, okay, here's the perfect audience. Then we go, okay, what communities are these people currently hanging out in? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? Is it Snapchat? Where are those individuals? And then we actually start to interact. This is where we build up an audience. We say, okay, so these people are definitely on Facebook. It's single moms that need potty training advice. So there's a very specific niche. Single moms, have kids, need potty training advice. Well, there are certain ways that we can identify those people online. We can pick women that are single that have liked Parenting Magazine, for example. It may not be to an exact science, but you can get a really good idea of who your audience is based on that. So then we start to interact with them where we're mentioning that share-worthy content that we created, and we actually pay money to the social networks to get that content in front of those people. And what that does is it makes you a rock star in that little micro niche, and it's really exciting. Now, we also do organic social. This is where we find communities that already exist. So instead of creating one, we'll go to some place like, let's say, Quora, for example. It's a question and answers website. We'll find places where people are already having dialogue about your specific industry. We'll join in the conversation and contribute to it, and then we'll begin to interact with people. And what that does again is it pulls people back to the great share-worthy content you've created, and it helps you to become an authority in your niche, which is the goal. So paid search, this is where we talked about earlier, we actually research your competitors and see what they're currently paying for in Google and Bing and the other search engines. And we say, okay, so these keywords are being paid for. Here's the actual ads that are being used and are clearly successful. And here's the landing pages. We literally have all of that information right in front of us. So we can easily build a campaign and launch it and test it and put it on repeat. And we test and we test and we test. And we build campaigns out the right way in paid search. So many people have failed miserably and have a bad taste in their mouth about Google AdWords, but I assure you that if you do it properly, it can be a huge, quick win for your business. So then there's organic search. This is where we look at, from a local perspective, making sure that all your local map listings are correct, that all of the different pages on the internet that mention your company name have the right address, the right information, they have a link to your website, they have images and all of those different things. Then we look at keyword and competition research and we say, okay, we have to create quality content around those keywords, which again is that share-worthy content, but then we have to find quality link prospects. What this means is we have to go out and actually find websites that are already authoritative to Google, that Google already shines their happy face upon, and we contact them through phone, through social media, and through email. And we say, hey, we have this really great content over here. You should mention it. Or we say, hey, can we create some content for you and kind of have that content sponsored by us? And more than often than not, once you actually get them on the phone, which is the hard part, it's an easy sale because they're getting something that they appreciate, or they're seeing something that we've built on your behalf that they want to share with their folks. So then there's the nurturing. Now, again, this is where a lot of digital marketing agencies kind of fall off. We create automated email and retargeting with purpose to the people that come to your website and are on each of the steps that we're going to go through in just a couple of slides, and we're going to talk about that. Now, I want you to think about something. The old way of going to market is a bit stale, and I'm going to explain that in a second, but think about this quote, "Oh, we've always done it this way, it works fine," said the 2005 travel agency owner. You can look at the news to see all of the industries that have gotten caught beneath the tidal wave called the internet. And our goal is to make sure that the people that work with us are on top of the wave, that they're riding the wave as it changes. And trust me, it changes every day. I talk to a lot of CEOs at conferences that I speak at, and they come up to me and they go, Dave, how on earth can we keep up with all this stuff? And the answer is you have to have a team that's ready to rock and roll for you. So one of the old ways of looking at doing business that kind of gets caught under that tidal wave sometimes is that each department in a business is considered its own entity. And we hear stories all the time where sales is complaining that marketing, isn't doing enough for them, and marketing's telling sales they're not closing good enough, and tech always feels underappreciated. Engineering, meaning the people that create the products and services, are frustrated because the leadership tends to want the impossible, and the leadership is feeling the team's completely incompetent. Now, the reason that's happening is because we've actually siloed each of these things into these different categories, and sometimes they actually act like they're completely different companies altogether. When was the last time you had a quote-unquote lowly support professional in your engineering and product development meetings? Think about that for a minute. Or when's the last time that you had your tech team not the tech team that's involved in products, but the tech team that is like the programmers for your company? When's the last time they were in a meeting where a sales rep was trying to close a deal? Well, sometimes people go, well, that doesn't make any sense. But trust me, I want you to think about something. So let's look at how we see a growth team. We basically help companies to transform their outdated departments, their silos we just talked about, into a growth team. Now, this is where all of these roles, leadership, engineering, marketing, sales, support, and tech, are all involved in the actual product and service design. Now, this doesn't mean everybody in your company comes in and has a meeting. What it means is the leaders from within these different departments within your organization need to be involved in the product and service design, because there are things that sales knows is happening. Marketing can have listening posts out to hear what people are looking for in products and services and what they're currently complaining about. You don't have to do focus groups anymore because the entire internet in the world is a focus group. It's crazy. So then there's the awareness stage. So we're building products and then we make people aware of them. Well, again, your marketing, sales, and tech people all need to be involved in that awareness. And then we move into this stage of nurturing. So this is the first nurturing stage where, okay, we've made people aware and they've come to our website or they've been exposed to us in some way. Now marketing, sales, and tech needs to be involved in creating automation campaigns that actually can go out and turn those people into sales. So that's where sales and marketing, support, and tech come in the acquisition side. Let's say that you can create an automated webinar system for your sales team that tech can come in and make really efficient, and marketing can make sure that they're getting the word out about it, and support knows based on what sales is selling what they might have to support. That's huge. Why isn't it happening now? And then, of course, we have support, where engineering, marketing, and sales need to join the support staff to help them to make sure that the customers are being taken care of. It's a really interesting process. Now, back to how we can work together. So at about $1,000 a month, that can get you in the door with some hands-off consulting with us. And then, of course, as we mentioned before, we have our audit and strategy plans. So those plans start at $2,500, and the amount really kind of depends on how complex your current plans and strategies are and how large your organization is. We've done these upwards of $25,000 as well. So then there's our hands-on social. It starts at about $1,500 a month, and that's where we can start to kind of build out these communities and audiences and make sure that we're constantly updating your social presence and actually building communities around the content that we're creating for you. So then website development starts at about $4,500. We can design or refresh an amazing web presence for you. Your pay-per-click campaigns, we can help out with those for about $1,200 a month, $1,250 a month to start. Now that's without your ad spend, of course, but we're constantly optimizing and maintaining those. And then our SEO packages that we do with clients start at about $2,500 a month. So let's talk for just a moment about our project management process, because one of the biggest complaints we've heard that people have with agencies is that they don't feel like they're up to date, like they understand what's happening in their campaign, and things get lost. And I'll be honest, we had that challenge a long time ago. I didn't put together the best systems. Well, through the years of working with all of these different people, I think we've come up with a great plan. We like to look at things in 3-week increments. Now, for some people, this has to go to 4. We like 3 for a couple of different reasons. However, what we do initially is look at a review meeting. This review meeting is where we actually look at the whole entire plan, but we look at a 3-week initial chunk of tasks to complete to hit that long-range plan. And we actually assign champions for each task. Now, during the next 3 weeks, every morning, everyone involved in the project actually communicates for 5 minutes max, just to say, hey, here's what I'm doing today, and here's, I need some help with this thing, or does anyone need help with this, or hey, I created this, so you guys are good to go on this. So we're just communicating, but the goal is to focus on the 3 weeks of tasks that we went over in our review meeting. And then we actually meet. We review what we accomplished. We talk about any challenges that came up, any issues, and then we schedule the next 3 weeks of work out. Now, you're involved in the initial and the last stages here, if you want to be. Sometimes our clients don't even want to be. They just want to get an email update of what we've accomplished and what we've done. We also record all of our meetings, so we have no problem at all with letting you know what actually takes place in those meetings if you don't want to be on them. Now, I want to mention quickly our web development process. So that starts out, if you have us do any kind of a web design or a microsite or anything like that at all, it starts off with a mock-up. Now this is where we actually show you an idea that we have. Of course, this is after we've laid out the actual navigational structure of your site and we understand what it's going to need to include on each and every page. Once we have a thumbs up from you on the mock-up, we then move into the framework. All of our sites, and I mean just about all, are built in WordPress, and that is our core foundation. We can build in other things as well. However, today WordPress has become a premium tool for us to framework out and build sites. And quite frankly, it saves you an incredible amount of money because it's a secure framework that we can start from, and it gives us a head start. Now, after that, we actually look at the final navigation and page content approval. This is where, on a joint conference call, we look at the website together with you, we go through the navigation, and we look at each of the pages, and we actually get their content approved by you. Then, after that meeting, there may be some final content and art decisions that need to happen. We do those, and then we do a final overview with you. So there's actually 3 meetings. There's 4. There's the mock-up, then there's the final navigation and page approval, and then we build that out. We do the final content and art decisions. We have a final meeting with you, and then we actually, on our end, look at the browser, device, and load speed. So we're pulling up the website in a bunch of browsers, looking at it in different devices, checking load speeds, making sure that all of those things are sound. And then we go live, which is the most exciting part of the whole process. So with all of this said, we want you to know that our hope is to become your growth partner, and we hope that you trust us. Please read reviews about our company. Please contact some people that we can give you as references. We are really proud of the work that we do at Conklin Media, and we don't take on work that we don't think we can hit out of the park. So when we sit down and we talk about your growth opportunities and your goals, you can trust us to be honest with you. If we don't think it's a good fit, we're going to let you know. But I hope we can see you soon. This is Dave Conklin with Conklin Media. You can give us a call at 717-951-8349, or you can email hello@conklinmedia.com.